No.
Also introduces something that I'm not entirely sure is either a feature or a bug, but when you go up behind an armed enemy to strangle them, they will auto-detect you every single time. In that press reader article I mentioned earlier, Jacob Anderson remarks how they weren't able to get a few of the bugs and misbehaviors of the AI out of the game, so this could be possibly what he's referring to. This in turn requires you to go into sneak mode by pressing 4. It's basically just a toggled crouch. The issue with this feature is that you move too slow to actually sneak up on people with it, so you end up having to walk up to them normally, get behind them, enter sneak mode for all of 2 seconds, pull out your weapon, and then kill them. This game also has features like a leaning mechanic, which you can use to peek out the bathroom to shoot the police chief without anybody seeing you, and then escape out the window. The lean mechanic is a pretty cool feature that is missing from the later games that I think could be cool if they brought it back and tried to experiment with it, but with the game's clunky controls, and if you're using the resolution fix that zooms in the FOV, the mechanic ends up feeling never fully realized. Mission 4 is the first level of the game that starts to really feel like the Hitman levels we have come to know and love today, with large open-ended areas leaving a lot of planning for the player to do. The only issue with these large open-ended levels is the game has no mid-mission saving or checkpoints. There is a respawn system where you get 1 to 2 respawns depending on the level, but if you died because you alerted somebody, they're still going to be alerted when you spawn back into the level, so there's really no point of using it, so you may as well just restart from the beginning. This becomes very frustrating to the player, especially when they get caught or compromised due to the jank of the game, and not the fault of their own misexecution. While I do like this level for being far larger compared to the previous 3, and actually being more open-ended and having multi-steps rather than just being go here, kill a guy, and leave, it does feel like such a ramp-up of difficulty and complexity compared to the previous 3 levels that it would end up scaring off and frustrating newer players. It's not really an issue for me since I've played the entire series at this point, and even if you get stuck now, you have the infinite access of the internet. But back in the day, nobody had that luxury, so unless you knew somebody who beat this game, you're just stuck. And this is really reflective in reviews of this game around its release. Guess you gotta sell the strategy guide somehow. This is the level that starts to show the value of the knife over the fiber wire. As much as I love the fiber wire and think it's a really cool weapon and the animations are really nice, those animations are long and unskippable. So when you have narrow windows to kill somebody to get their disguise, like one of the waiters in the bathroom, before another waiter or a guard potentially walks in, the knife just ends up being league superior since its animations are quick and its kills are instant. This again shows you that you need to hide bodies in rooms that NPCs don't go into, because even if you take these bodies and pose them in the stalls to look like they're taking a shit, people are still going to find them, alert the guards, and make your target flee. This level also introduces a design choice that I think has no place in this series and I do not like at all, and that is randomness. In this level, you need to find a jade statue in a safe and bring it to the herbalist on the first floor next to the bar in order to trade it to get a poison to kill your target. The catch is that this statue can be in 4 possible locations in the level. I understand why they do this. It adds variety and increases the replay value of these levels, but in a game all about planning, especially this one where it's not exactly clear what you're supposed to do a lot of the time, you should really want to keep as many random variables out of your game as possible to minimize player frustration. The thing that is really cool about this level that goes hand in hand with the randomness is that there is multiple ways to gather information about the location of the jade statue. Let's say you didn't go to the brothel and talk to the prostitute. If you keep talking to the bartender, eventually he'll mention that if you hear screaming coming from the basement, it is a white guy who tried to run away from home and his mail, which informs you of the CIA agent they have trapped in the basement. If you go rescue him, he'll give you the jade statue's location. If you do end up helping the prostitute escape, it gives you one of my favorite 47 reactions in the entire series. This game's tone is more in line with B-movie action schlock rather than a dark, serious story that the later games would adopt. This ends up helping this game's cutscenes, which are really broken.
He got Mulan.
They're trying to Mission 5 takes place in the jungles of Colombia and is by far the worst level in the whole game. While the rest of the levels are pretty janky and some have aged worse than others, this is just awful. There's a reason why this level never came back in contracts. To put it simply, the level is needlessly big. About 5 times too big. Since it's a jungle, it's basically just a copy and paste of the same 100 feet over and over again. If you don't have the draw distance unlocker installed, you are probably going to get lost in this level due to the fact that everything looks exactly the same. This level has potential to be really cool, but due to the simplistic nature of this game not having the mechanics introduced in later titles, like distractions by sound or stolen away bodies, it just feels barren as hell. Most of this level is just going to be you walking back and forth between objectives. The only thing you want to make sure you do in this level is pick up one of the snipers and take it with you, since Mission 6 is a continuation of Mission 5, and Mission 7 is a continuation of Mission 6. This is why I think they could have cut down the level size and made it all one, creating a far more interesting, compact, and well thought out level. Like, level 6 is just you getting through this secret passageway taking you directly to the drug lord you're trying to kill. That means you have to get past the locals' god of death, which just involves you killing a guard and dragging his body from the other end of the map all the way over to their altar. The level is maybe 5 minutes at most, which a vast majority of it is dragging said body I mentioned. Another AI quirk that I ran into in Mission 7 is that if you end up readying your weapon while holding a sniper rifle, all the guards will attack you, which makes no sense since the same guards had no problem with you doing it in Mission 5 or 6, along with the fact that you stole it from one of their own sniper nests. This is their gun. Mission 8 is my favorite level in the game. I think that hotel levels are always the coolest in the Hitman series. Just so many little details that do it right for me, like being able to walk past a room that a housekeeper is cleaning and steal a key that they left in the door, so now you have access to every suite in the entire building, or stealing a do not disturb sign and putting it on one of the doors so you can hide a dead body in a room and then never have to worry about an NPC stumbling on it accidentally. There's even a Terminator reference where you can go to the florist and give him a message, and he'll give you a box of roses with a shotgun in it. There is so much to this level.
Funny.
This is peak Hitman. If they had one level to show potential investors or publishers that if you gave us more money, we can make more like this, Mission 8 is the level that I would show them. Up until now, I've been talking about how the AI is pretty stupid and really buggy, so this level takes you by surprise, where if you talk to the guard first in your normal outfit and then change into a bellhop's or any of the other employees' costumes, you'll see right through your disguise. It's a shame that this is the only instance that I've ever come across of this happening in the entire game. It shows that depthful AI that adapt to what you do are actually possible in this game, and could have been put to use elsewhere. I believe that Mission 8 is also the only level in the entire game that utilizes the jumping between ledge mechanic. They showed it off in the tutorial, but I don't believe that there's ever another level that allows you to do this. Mission 9 suffers from the same issues that Mission 5, 6, and 7 suffer, but to a lesser degree. Yeah, the level is too big, ending up making it pretty empty, but it does not feel as monotonous to walk around in, because there are clear objectives and things to do right from the get-go. This level also has some randomness to it, needing you to follow the gang members to a rendezvous point where they're trying to buy guns, so you can get led back to the gun supplier. The catch is that the rendezvous point could be in 3 possible locations, and since the gang member's car seems to be able to phase through gates and you can't, you have to realign the tracks so a train crashes through the fence, allowing you to follow them. Mission 10 is a level that is held back by the limitations of this game. In order to get past the entrance guards and go through the fence, you need to either kill them or find someone who knows the password and walk with them simultaneously as they
got a
go through
box.
the fence, because apparently that doesn't bother the AI at all. Instead of having something like finding out the password for yourself and telling them, because it's not enough that you have the same clothes as everybody else, and everybody in this entire compound seems to know the password, you have to walk in with them simultaneously. If you try to go by yourself, you're just going to aggro them. Again, it's just something that is a missed opportunity. Once you get onto the boat, this is where the level starts to really pick up in difficulty. You have to keep in mind all of these weird angles of the ship so people don't possibly see you while killing some of the guards. If you are someone who's going back to play this game after first going going through 2016, Blood Money, Hitman 2, or even Absolution, you might be taken aback by how much of this game has you going loud. Sometimes your best course of action is just pulling out a machine gun and gunning dudes down, like in the engineering room where you need to kill everybody in it in order to disarm a nuke. Mission 11 has you going back to the start of the game where the tutorial took place at Dr. Fortmeyer's sanitarium. I've yet to really go into any detail about the story of this game, so let's start doing it now that all the pieces are in place. Agent 47 is the 47th clone of Dr. Fortmeyer, who's trying to make a perfect kill machine. Your previous 4 major targets, that being Lee Hong in Hong Kong, Pablo Ocho in Colombia, Francis in the Budapest Hotel, and Boris in Rotterdam,
that was horrible.
all former associates of Dr. Fortmeyer. Throughout the game, when killing these major targets, you have the
That was a bad
chance to
class.
pick up a letter from them, representing the connection between each other, all leading in the Orange Foreign Legion. Eventually, these 5 men would come together to form a group called the Five Fathers, donating part of their genetic code towards the creation of Agent 47. The 4 previous targets would go out on their own to become major crime lords throughout the world, while Fortmeyer stayed in Romania, opening a sanitarium which would function as a disguise for his cloning lab underneath it. After 47 killed the other 4 fathers, Fortmeyer would be able to create the number 48 line, which is pretty much identical in power to 47, except they have no conscience of their own. Now having the 48, Fortmeyer sees no reason for 47.
He's got a little booty hole spanked.
So
How you gonna get your little booty hole spanked like that, bro?
Having the Romanian special forces on the building, which you will either have to fight your way through or take the disguise of one of the doctors and sneak into the labs underground. Mission 12, Meet Your Brothers, is an excellent final climax to the story of Codename 47. Having you fight an army of Agent 48 is the fact that it's pretty difficult, which will result in you dying a bunch, and you're going to
I didn't even want to play Guardian.
speech of Fortmeyer on loop over and over and over again.
This is what I sacrificed for? You're telling me this is what I sacrificed for?
Fighting the Agent 48 clones is incredibly fun. There are a ton of options for weapons you can find scattered throughout the lab, like a minigun. After killing every Agent 48, you can finally meet your maker. You come face to face with Dr. Fortmeyer. Shooting him in the chest will trigger the final cutscene where Agent 47 leans over him, snaps his neck, and the blood from his gunshot wound will form the Hitman insignia as the credits begin to roll.
Aid you. Hey, wait a minute.
Codename 47 released to overall mixed, leaning towards positive reviews. It's currently sitting at a 73 on Metacritic.
Here come the big dog. Here come the big dog.
But the execution was a little off due to questionable design choices, along with the fact that the game leaves you to your own devices for a vast majority of it, which led to player frustration because they did not know what they needed to do. For a small team like IO Interactive, starting out originally as only 7 people, and this being their first game,
Just they wait.
showed the immense promise of this.
Wait till I get my swag.
Also sold incredibly well for a new IP only being on the PC, selling a little over 500,000 in 2000. IO would take this victory and move on to further improve their critical darling with the next title, Hitman 2: Silent Assassin.
Time to take action.
With Codename 47 being a great success, IO quickly got to work on their next title of the series, Silent Assassin, now with even larger ambitions, this time having the PS2 and Xbox original as the focus for development. During the creation of Codename 47, IO were unable to get their hands on developer kits, that's why the game was a PC exclusive. So now being able to develop Silent Assassin for consoles, IO felt more at home since most of the team prior to the creation of the studio were console devs. Codename 47 really showed that we were console developers. We didn't consider save options. On consoles at the time, you were given codes that would allow you to skip levels that you had already completed. Also, the keyboard layout was all messed up. Still, one of the good things that was brought over from consoles was the third-person perspective. Like Codename 47, it's going to take some work to get this running properly on modern hardware in 16 by I-9, although it's going to need a few more steps. Like last time, you're going to need to edit the I-9 files, but if you stop there, you run the risk of characters losing textures mid-mission, along with some other bugs I ran into, like cutscenes not playing or the game running at weird speed. So you're going to need to download these two files and place them into wherever you have the game downloaded to. Simply drag and drop and you should be good to go. Like the quote mentioned earlier, this game has a far more conventional control scheme, so you don't have to mess around with it at the beginning unless you really don't like it. Codename 47 I would consider is a diamond in the rough, so with Silent Assassin, I have really stepped up their game with mechanical innovation, fixing issues with design choices, and making excellent quality of life changes. New stealth implementations include crouching and crouch walking, so you can now hide behind medium-sized objects like crates or behind doors and doorways to abuse the game's AI so they don't spot you. The ability to look through keyholes, allowing you to peer into rooms and hallways ahead to see where the guards are looking or if they have left the area. The ability to pick locks, which allows for more non-linear and interesting indoor level design. Anesthetics, allowing for non-lethal takedowns, leaving NPCs unconscious based on the amount of pips in the top right corner you use, maxing out at the total of 5 minutes of unconsciousness. A first-person mode, giving you better accuracy with aiming for headshots with pistols and smaller firearms. The first-person mode really reminds me of the FPS mode in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and how while it's usable, it does feel a bit awkward, clearly showing that this game wasn't being made as an FPS in mind first. A suspicion meter, so you know how close you are to causing an alert. The faster it pulses while turning red and filling up the entire bar means that you are being closer and closer to being discovered. The way disguises work has also changed. Previously, in Codename 47, once you were in disguise, enemies would never detect you, but now it's too suspicious, your cover will be
What I tell her, bitch, nigga. Told you not to do that, bitch, nigga.
I find it more infuriating than anything else due to the game's AI, which I will go more in depth with in just a minute.
You didn't listen. Bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga, bitch, nigga.
Based on your skills, an overhauled inventory system of 3D models to display your items along with an in-depth description of them. A real-time map which allows you to see enemies moving around on the floor, which kind of invalidates looking through keyholes for the most part, except when you're trying to check enemies' postures in the same spot to know if they would see you if you open the door, like this room in Shogun Showdown. The church where 47 lives in Sicily now functions as your hub, allowing you to test and use weapons collected on missions freely on the dummy in the yard. This is where you will be picking out your tools to take each time you change locations for missions, so make sure you pick everything you think you will need before going, because you won't get another chance again. Sadly, some of the randomness in levels has stayed over from Codename 47, like in the mission Invitation to the Party, where the save can be in multiple different areas. Compared to Codename 47-13 levels, Silent Assassin is sporting 21. Now, while on paper, more levels is a good thing, but a lot of them fall into the same trap of level design that I feel is really holding this game back. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, the game is far more ambitious than its predecessor, so the game doesn't only have almost double the levels, most of them are double if not triple the size. But this is the 6th gen we're talking about here. It's still going to be another 10 years before massively populated levels with tons of active NPCs and many moving parts with Absolution, or 4 years if you're being generous with the Mardi Gras level in Blood Money. So while some of these levels are impressive in size for the PS2, they end up being very barren. The Russian and Japanese levels are an excellent example of this. In St. Petersburg, you need to find a vantage point to snipe a general in a war meeting, but when you start in the subway and then make your way through the town, you run into maybe 2 or 3 NPCs, and most of the buildings are just for show, functionally just big square rocks to get in your way or work as cover. The contents in the level themselves never really justify the size of them. This issue is even more noticeable after finishing the Japanese levels, having you go through massive snowy valleys to going to a hotel in Malaysia, which are way more